15 hours sometimes. They park old folks in front of the TV, and next thing you know, they don't know nothing.
Right.
I saw a mother go through it. That's how I know. You look at television, sun up, sun down.
The news and
Next thing you
I
know,
will
she
watch news. I will in the mornings at 7 o'clock, but I will not watch
Now, we have screens in our hands, so it's even
then when they dissect your brain, see, I worked in healthcare for 28 years, so I get to see all the good stuff that you won't let me talk about. And when they dissect your brain, there's a certain part of it, it's nothing but, it's like a seal with all holes in it. That's because it's like a pixel on a camera, they wear out. And then if you don't stimulate any other part, you just push it out. And they don't have no mental health anymore. They just, back in the day, if you had a kid that you thought was crazy, you call the police, and they would check them for mental health, and they took 48 hours, they could observe and tell you whether they were crazy. Now people just run in the street, they have a gun and kill folks. You know,
Right.
yeah.
Right. But a mental
Or get
health facility,
killed by
or get put in these mental health facilities where, like you said, there's no adequate care, so they just have, and they're being
Warehouse.
Yeah, it's warehouse. Exactly.
Warehouse and prison. Same thing. Crazy world. I was still there. I'm glad I'm on my way out. That's my way in.
Don't say that. I got little ones. I'm trying to figure out what kind of world we're trying to make for them to live and operate in.
Yeah, because his aunt is 103 and she's still going strong.
Yeah.
She had the nerve to say to me the other week, because I try to see her at least once a week. He go 2 or 3 times a week. And she go, Drake, do you think I'm mean and hateful? I go, yes you are. I go, you're not with me. You're always the same with me. But I've watched you with other people. She go, well, yes, when I want to, I can be mean and hateful. But she had a couple sips of wine, so I always make for sure I keep all the red wine for her. So whenever she gets low, I go, need some wine? She goes, yeah.
I got a 20 gauge shotgun in this room and a pistol. But that, you know what you're talking about, your family movements? Well, that's how she got to go. She had a husband that used to beat her. She got her straight razor, locked down his throat.
Oh, man.
And they shoes on the bus to y'all. Never looked back.
So, first off, we want to thank everyone for coming. Sorry,
He's just going to go get his wife.
My name is Taj Frazier. I live in this neighborhood. Actually, live right around this corner. I've been living out in Los Angeles for 8 years now. I teach at University of Southern California. I teach in the School of Communications. I'm also faculty in American Studies and Ethnicity and teach African American Studies classes. But my godfather and I have been having a conversation really for years. I mean, he's been a mentor, advisor, another guardian for me throughout life. And we've been having a conversation for years about where is our community headed? How do we work to cultivate, especially for me, he's always been invested in me and valuing being part of the community and helping to shape and participate in the community. And one of the things we've been talking about for a while is what is our community to do amid, everything that's happening. And so he's been having these conversations with his network and his community, and I have been also. And he said, Todd, when I'm in town, why don't we try to bring our folks together to have a collective intergenerational community exchange about that. And so again, I thank you all for coming. What are the ways?
Obviously, this terrible storm has mitigated. We laugh about the storm. California storm is like a drizzle to us, but I understand severity translates differently in different geography. So, what is it? Maybe 2 years ago. Let me backtrack. 30 years ago, a group of artists in DC looking at our collective situation globally and making some judgments and assessments. And through conversations over a period of time, what we kind of came to the conclusion that all the circumstances that we were encountering were the result of somebody else's plan that was just coming to fruition now. And what we also saw was that most of the activism and action was directed at now, trying to change now. And it's like, you can't do that. Now really doesn't exist. Now is yesterday coming to fruition today. And what we saw was absent was, who's planning our future? Who is planning future for black people in the world? You know, when I was young, I always assumed that there was a cadre of learned, activists somewhere sitting down and meeting and putting this stuff together. And I grew older and older, and not seeing any evidence of it, I started to get worried. Well, wait a minute, is nobody really doing this? So are we just kind of willy-nilly floating through this? And the more I looked at it, yes, we're just bouncing back and forth as an afterthought of somebody else's plan that has no positive intention for us at all. But, we're in this thing, and there's enough room to live and breathe and do your thing, and so it seemed like it was working. But year after year after year, the margins of that space began to shrink, and what was possible became less possible. So we decided, as a group of artists, to design the African future. Since nobody else was doing it, let's project. And we came up with a concept called GABA, because we're artists, the golden age of black art. And what we decided to do is, decade by decade, let's look at where we are as a people, and let's come up with an idea or a theme for a decade, and throughout the decade, let's just reiterate that theme. So we are now 30 years hence into GABA 3. And this is a century-long project. And so the theme for this decade is African reconnection. And our conception was that in the 1960s, in response to black power, black nationalism, the black arts movement, it was what we call a black bang, a cosmic. And numbers of constituencies kind of spread out to tackle specific problems, whether it was the black psychologists, black social workers, educators, lawyers, health practitioners, artists. Each of these groups started, dealing with the issues that were particular to their constituency, and they never stopped. So within each of these constituencies, and there are about 30 of them, you have people who dedicated their lives for 40 years working on these things. And so that foundation of work and sacrifice and struggle and scholarship and, is out there. And so what GABA 3 is about is pulling these together. Yes.
Could you swing your chair out some?
I got it in the way.
Okay, thank you.
So that's what, GABA 3 was about this decade, is pulling these constituents together. As an artist, I travel around and I know many of these people. I've done the conferences, I've worked with them for years, and I have a healthy respect for what they've done. But what I realize is that none of them know each other. It's like the psychologists don't interact with the musicians. The theater people don't interact with the health practitioners. And the educators don't interact with them. So you have all of this profound work, and none of it's connected. The first thing I tried to do was create an association, an alliance. And so I traveled around, starting attending the conferences, talking to people. And what I found was that each of these constituents were so deep in their silo that pulling them together was not happening. They're not coming up to connect. They're so focused. So plan B was to create an umbrella concept so that they could see that they were not alone. They could see that they were connected. And so that's kind of what I've been doing for the last couple of years. Traveling around, creating intergenerational discussions around how we move forward. Because imagine if you had like a university without a chancellor or a president, a board of trustees that was functioning. That'd be chaos. Imagine if you had a corporation without a CEO or a board of directors that was functioning. Well, here we are, hundreds of millions of people in the world, black people. Who's in charge? Who's planning for us? Who's, documenting and testing and strategizing and collecting data and projecting where the needs are? And it's not happening. So, that's kind of what I've come to. And as I travel around, trying to begin conversations with people to see really where we are. So we wanted to start off with a general question to go around so people could identify yourselves and respond to this. And the question, you want to pose it?
Yeah, for sure. The question has to do with in terms of the kind of challenges, the threats that we face as a community. Do you feel like, if I said we face a challenge and threat as a community, would you strongly agree, let's say that's 10, or would you strongly disagree in maybe 1? What number would you pick? Is it 5, somewhere in the middle, or lean the other side? That's it.
Y'all mean 10?
10 black. So, and as well, first off, who are you?
We want to go around and have everybody introduce themselves and respond to that.
And respond to that.
So we want to go in order or just?
You can. I can start. I'm Taj. 10 plus in agreement. The other thing we wanted to ask is, I guess we can get to that part later. Why and what is it? But we can just start with that. So I'm Taj, and I'd say yes, 10 plus in terms of challenge.
You should also say why you think so.
If you say 10 plus, and I kind of agree a little bit, that means somewhere along the line, my name is Bob. Somewhere along the line, we ain't gonna never get together because a whole lot of us think 10, like you said, 10 plus and so on. So that means there's not a magnet to pull those particular thoughts, processes, and everything together to get the ball rolling. Because if we all talk about 10, we get in worlds of trouble, man. And I don't know what to say about that.
Well, that's why we're here, to try to begin to flush that out.
Okay, so yes, the question is, what challenge, if I said there's a challenge and threat that we face as a community, do you strongly agree or disagree? And if you strongly agree, let's say that's the number 10. If you strongly disagree, it's 1. What number would you pick in terms of that spectrum of strongly disagree or agree? And why? If you disagree, why do you disagree? If you agree, why do you disagree? And why? What's your reason behind that number you've chosen? So I said 10, and I said 10 because I believe as a community, number 1, I'm fearful in terms of the divisions that exist, as well as in terms of lack of economic control, autonomy over the various kinds of things that are businesses in our community, as well as information that's being circulated. I'm very worried about education system, that many of the resources that are allocated for these kinds of institutions we don't have control over, as well as the institutions aren't, the purpose behind them isn't aligned with a kind of collective sense of ethics about why our kids should be in these kinds of spaces. I can say that about a variety of institutions. I believe that we're also fighting and struggling within these institutions. I don't think they're gone. But nonetheless, I believe that, there are certain kinds of ethics and values that we need to have greater intergenerational collective exchanges and spaces for that. And I'm fearful about where we're going to go in terms of having these kinds of exchanges and conversations and action.
Renee?
My name's Renee Bond, and I would say 10, because there's so many things going on, especially with our new president-elect, well, not elect, the new President Trump. Very fearful.
We say 45 in our house.
45.
Yes.
45.
He's the 45th
Oh,
president.
okay. Okay, I agree.
Tia?
I know you, sorry, I'm Tia, by the way. And I say a 10 because, yeah, I agree with my mom. I agree that, there's a lot going on, and with him being in office, I don't care for him.
My name is Asato, and I say 10. For everything that everybody's going to say, but I also want to make sure that we're understanding that 45, or the 44th, has probably done a lot more to hurt our community in terms of incarceration rate, in terms of immigration, deportation. So I'm thinking the 45 has gotten us to a point where maybe we're seeing that we need to do something. I think we got complacent, and we should have been doing something much sooner. And for whatever reason, momentum puts us forward. I'm glad we're moving. My fear is we're doing this on emotion. After emotion happens and passes, then what? And so I don't feel we have the infrastructure, we don't have the community, as Brother was saying, to keep us together so that we can form this collective economic basis, education basis. And I think my fear is that we're going to start infighting more than we're doing once we get past our emotion, because we don't have, I'm not sure if education or the trust. I mean, it's a lot. It's not just one entity, but I think that's part of my fear.
I'm Bill Garner. I would say 9.5 to 10. One of the issues I am concerned with is that we don't seem to have a strong institution for leadership in terms of focusing us and getting us headed in a central direction. The church is probably the strongest institution in the community, and it doesn't seem to be doing that what it can do. But I think we need some vehicle for instituting more self-awareness and involvement of ourselves in the community, economically, educationally, always to try to build our communities back up.
I'm Lucy, Bill's wife, and I agree with him that I would say like a 10 plus. So, and I feel like I'm at a loss as to what I can do to make things better. And I tend to look at the church. I taught school for 31 years plus, and I tried to do what I can in terms of, educating the young people that came through me. And I feel like I need to be doing more now to help young folks. Because I kind of see them as our way out. But the church is not quite filling in the gap as much as I think it should be. The leadership is not there for the most part. We just seem to be divided.
Go ahead.
My name is Robbie Gerald Davis. I'm pretty close to an 11. And that's because for me, the biggest issue is, well, two. Our story is not being told. And we are not telling our story. Everyone else has a story. The undocumented immigrants have a story. The LGBTQ community has a story. It's all in the headlines. And the people who represent them, in fact, get out in front of their issue before it may seemingly impact them negatively. Whereas the people who are supposed to represent us sit as if issues do not exist. And for about the last 5 years, I've been involved with this community referencing a light rail train that is coming down Crenshaw Boulevard and jumping up out of the ground and traveling at street level for 11 blocks through the heart of the community. While we had 4 black men sitting on the city council, we had 2 black men heading up the Metro board. And for whatever reason, they saw fit to do nothing, and in fact actually oppose efforts that were attempting to keep this community from being divided. Because when you put a train down the middle of a community, what has already been in existence, the wrong and the right side becomes even more apparent. But this is the issue that I have. We're not telling the story of them to our community, and we're not telling the story of us to the rest of the community, because everyone who comes here and gets a benefit gets it because of the suffering that our people endured, and then tell us how they've done it. So that's why I'm so close. I'm in the middle of 11, actually. Yes, that's who I am.
Okay.
I am Larry Moffat, and I said 10 plus simply because of the reason that I am 77 years old, and I have seen this thing since I was, first time I realized it, I was probably 4 years old. And what she says about a train track, in the South, train tracks always divide communities. We've traveled 90 countries, we've traveled every single state in this union. And I can tell you, anywhere you go, the train tracks has always been a dividing line. Black people always lived east of the train tracks in almost any city that you go in. And then we have the inner cities. The inner cities were the best places that you could live from the time that the Indians founded them.